Hi friends, today we'll discuss an important current affairs issue with respect to the definition of the minority and the minority status. So, minority, see, this is an important observation which was already made by the Supreme Court but recently a petition filed in the Supreme Court, and in that process union government has filed an affidavit by saying who will give the minority status to some people and what is the meaning of this minority that was mentioned, and already some of the Supreme Court judgments are there. So those things we are going to discuss in today's class. Normally when we looking into these minorities, without knowing into the constitutional provisions, without understanding what is the legal rights that are given to them, we feel like okay, minority, and we will completely started thinking that minority aspect into a political way. We will bring politics into that. We don't understand exactly what is a minority and why this word minority was used and what are the special rights that they will get under the Indian Constitution and who is eligible and who can give that status. What is the minimum criteria that they must possess? These things we don't think. Simply we say like because the minority has become minority politics in our country because of this minority appeasement or minority welfare schemes. So it has taken a completely different turn, unfortunately, in our Indian politico-administrative system. But as an aspirants of UPSC, we must deal with this subject in a clearly and what exactly constitution is dealing about, what are the rights they will get, what were the earlier legislation they said about, and what is the problem today. So this is another important aspect of the Supreme Court observation. So we are looking into this. So what is that petition? What is that petition? The petition was filed by an advocate, and according to him, in the 2011 census, the people belongs to Hindu region, the people belong to Hindu religion, has become minority in some of the states and union territories. They have given Lakshadweep, Mizoram, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Jammu and Kashmir, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Punjab. So in these places the population of Hindu is less, so please direct the state government to declare Hindus as minorities in this state. Hindus as minorities in this state. So that is what his petition. So before I entering into this concept, I'll give you an idea of minority, and if state identify them as the minority, what is the benefit these people are going to get? That means the Hindus in the state, what they are going to get. Are they not getting the same benefit today? So this is we need to understand. See, minority normally defined in terms of number. If their population is less than 50%, then we can consider them as the minority. Who, when I say them, what is that meaning of them? Is it a religion? Is it a sex? Is it a caste? Is it a creed? Is it a race? That I will come to little bit late. But first criteria is number. If their number is less than 50%, then you can consider as a minority. But number alone is not sufficient, because if you take the case of South Africa, the whites are minority, blacks are majority, but still the minorities has ruled the majority. So that the power that they are exercising, is an important, the power or dominance. Power or the dominance is an important criteria that you must take along with the number before you decide anyone as the minority. So these are the two critical factors to decide the minority. Okay. If these two factors are the deciding factors for the declaration of minority, then what about our Indian Constitution? Did really our Indian Constitution recognize these minorities? If so, how they have decided, how they have identified, and what are the rights that the Constitution is giving? Constitution, in our Indian Constitution, in 4 places they have used the word minority. They have used it in the Article 29. They have used it in the Article 30, and they have also used it in the Article 350A. In all the articles they used the minorities in a same sense? No. In all the articles the minority is not the same, because when it comes to 350A, the minority is different. In the 29, actually the 29 applicable to anyone irrespective of minorities, though they mentioned it for the minorities. So what are the different minorities that the Constitution recognized? Constitution recognized 2 type of minorities. One is religious minorities. Second one is linguistic minorities. One is religious minorities, second one is linguistic minorities. So what is this religious minority and what is this linguistic minority? Suppose people who are practicing a different religion, and if their number is low, their political share is low, then you can consider those groups as religious minorities. What is linguistic minorities? If the people are speaking a different language and their number is low and their power sharing is low, you can declare them as the linguistic minorities. Did it say it so in the Constitution? No. Constitution not define the word minority. Then from where I am taking these two? From the international conventions, and we are taking these 2 aspects to define the minorities. Our Constitution recognized 2 minorities, but our Constitution has not defined what is exactly the minority. They have not defined. Then who is defining? I will come to that, who will define. Now, okay, if the Constitution identifies some groups as religious and linguistic minorities, what are the things they are going to get extra in our country? Are they going to get a special treatment? Are they going to exercise some different rights? The point is, in our Constitution, Article 14, 15, 16 says about that equality. Everyone is equal before the law. And you should not discriminate anybody based on the religion, sex, place of birth, caste, creed. You are not supposed to. But there is an exemption to the women under Article 15. There is an exemption to the children under Article 15. There is an exemption to the SCs and STs and OBCs. And the same exemptions are given to the Article 16. And in place of birth also they have applying in some states like Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. But apart from that, everyone is equal. But this Article 29, 30, 350 is giving some special provisions to these minorities. So what is this Article 29? Article 29, if any, actually it has written under minorities, right, but 29 applicable to anyone. Any section of citizen residing in the territory of India or any part of having a distinct language, script or culture, having any distinctive script, language or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. If at all they are having the diverse culture, script and language, they can preserve it. That preserving of their culture is the right that the minorities are having. First point, culture. And one more aspect they have written in the Article 29, that no citizen shall be denied an admission into an educational institution maintained by the state or receiving aid from the state on the grounds of religion, race, caste, language or any of them. So when an educational institution run by the state, or if that educational institution is receiving funds from the state, that educational institution should not discriminate anybody on the basis of religion or the whatever the language, race, caste, religion, race, caste. That means even they are belongs to the minorities, they will have an access to education. That is Article 29 is dealing about that. Then what about Article 30? Article 30 is dealing about right of minorities to establish and administer their educational institutions. Educational institutions, not any institution which you want to establish. So all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have a right to establish and administer their educational institutions. And one more right they have under Article 30 is, under compulsory land acquisition, if the government decides the rate and the price, and if they want to acquire the property of the educational institute of minorities, they will have the right to own it. But that means no one can take it away. So that is the right they are having. Then what is this Article 350? The Article 350 and one more thing is, when government is giving an aid to the educational institution, they should not discriminate just because this educational institution is belonging to the minority. In any other way you can discriminate, but you cannot discriminate just because it is maintained by minorities, either it is religious minority or linguistic minority. Next, Article 350A says that there shall be a special officer for linguistic minorities to be appointed by the president. This will talks about linguistic minorities. So these three applicable for the linguistic minorities, these three applicable, but this is applicable to religious minorities and linguistic minorities. This is applicable to linguistic minorities. Now, if these three rights are there, that means if someone is declared as a minority, they can enjoy only extra these three rights. Apart from that, just because you are a minority, you don't get any extra right. Apart from that, everyone is equal before the law. Only in preserving your culture, setting up of your educational institutions, and whenever you are getting aid, that too you will get a equal treatment. This is the only benefits that the minorities get under the Constitution of India. You must understand this. You must understand this aspect. Okay. So once the people are having these rights under Constitution, now I will come to who will decide these minorities. So there should be two type of minorities. One is religious and second one is linguistic. There is no third scope for minority in our Constitution. Constitution not specified. But who will decide someone is a religious minority, someone is a linguistic minority? See, there was an act called National Minority Commission Act. National Minorities Commission Act. This act was came in the year 1992. In that there was a section 2C, and this section says that it is the central government decides who is minority. It is the central government who is minority. And according to this act, in the year 1993, the union government has decided Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Parsi, Buddhists as the minorities. And who are all these minorities? By looking into that, you can say that they are religious minorities. Then you may ask a question, sir, is the union government not declared anyone as a linguistic minority? Because they have defined some people as religious minority. And what about linguistic minorities? Did union government has not identified? Union government has not identified. In the year 2014, they have added Jains into this list of minorities. Okay, union government has done. Now there was another act called Minority Educational Institutions Act. Minority Educational Institutions Act. This act is of 2005. In that act, there is a clause called 2F. In that also they said like it is the central government decides who is minority. So now with this you understood like the central government can declare anyone as a minority. As on today, some 6 groups are identified as a minority. That too they are the religious minorities. Now you may get a question like, sir, does really the religious minorities and linguistic minorities, are they having same rights? You looked into the article 2930. Is there any discrimination anywhere? No, there is no discrimination. Whether you are a linguistic minority, whether you are a religious minority, you are the minority and you will enjoy the same rights. That too, what rights you will enjoy? That cultural preservation rights and educational rights. Apart from that, you don't get any extra right just because you are a minority. Be careful about this. Okay, so this is okay. Now there was a Supreme Court judgments on this. Who has to decide the minorities? The act says like center will decide, but does the Supreme Court agreed with the same thing like the center will decide? Now I looking into some of the judgments so that you can understand. One is Kerala Education Bill 1958. On this Kerala Education Bill 1958, there was a judgment. In that judgment they said like actually these people asked for to consider unit as the district as a unit, and we will decide in the unit whether someone is a religious minority or someone is a linguistic minority. We will decide it. Then they said that then the Supreme Court said like no, nothing. The state is the unit to decide the whether you are a minority or not. State is a unit to decide whether someone is a minority or not. That is the judgment given in that. I'll summarize this. In the second case, it was happened in 1971 in this DAV schools, Dayananda Vedic schools. So that DAV college, it is with respect to DAV college. So they are running their college in the Punjab. Are they get any benefit of this minority educational institution? That was the question. And in that they said like the Arya Samaj who were Hindus were a religious minority in the state of Punjab. They said like you are religious minority in the state of Punjab. They said. So you are a religious minority in the state of Punjab. So because in the nationwide you may not be the minority, but in that state you will be the you are the minority, so you will get that right. That means again they will say it like state as a unit they said. Next, there was another judgment. This judgment again it came in same DAV case. Again it came in DAV case only. DAV College Bathinda versus State of Punjab. In that they said like what constitute a linguistic or religious minority must be judged in relation to the state Again they said like that will be the state is a unit, state is a unit. And again what they are saying is, based on which law that the person is violating, based on that we will decide the linguistic and religious minority. Suppose if state is violating someone right, we will decide the minority at the state level by the state government. If that institution or someone is violating the national law, then you have to define the minorities at the national level. That is what they said. But anyhow, there is an important judgment called this TMA Pai in the year 2002. So this TMA Pai judgment in the year 2002, in this judgment, by considering this DAV and the Kerala Education Bill judgments, in TMA Pai case they said like right of minorities to establish the educational institutions. So on this right of minorities to establish the educational institution, they said like again you must consider state as a unit, state as a unit to declare a minorities, state as a unit to declare the minorities. There was another judgment in the year 2005, we call it as Bal Patil. So this Bal Patil went to the Supreme Court in the year 2005 to ask the requesting the Supreme Court to order the government to declare Jains as the minorities at the national level. Because why he went to the Supreme Court to ask the government to declare Jains at the national level? By that time already some of the states like Uttar Pradesh, like Chhattisgarh and some of the other states, they have declared Jains as the religious minorities in their respective state. The state has already done it. But he asked the Supreme Court to declare at the national level. Then the Supreme Court has given a very different judgment, like we are not going to add the list of minorities to the existing list. Actually we should move away from this majority and minority difference. Our constitutional framers has not thought like this minority and majority should go and everyone come to the equal, but you are asking me to add the minority list to the existing list. This is not something correct. And that too, if you looking into the earlier judgment, they said like state as a unit, and in some of the states already Jains are the minorities. So why again you wanted me to add at the national level? What extra benefit you will get if I add at the national level? No, this cannot be accepted. So Supreme Court has given a different judgment, because they say state is a unit, already some states are giving. What is the problem for you? Which state is not implementing, just go to that state and ask that state. But anyhow, that pressure has built on the government, and in the year, as I said earlier, in the year 2014 January, the Jains were added to that minority list at the national level. They have also added at the national level. So once you observe these judgments, one thing is clear: there is a national list of minorities. All are included, these religious minorities. But if you looking into the different judgment, they are saying like these religious minorities must be declared at the state level. Perhaps state is the right person to decide someone is a minority or a majority. Now the question is, when union is deciding the minority status based on religion, why union is not deciding based on the language? Because union's point of view is religion is a pan India basis, so I can decide it on. But whereas when it comes to the language, I am not the right person to decide. In each and every state they can decide the linguistic minorities. That doesn't mean that state cannot declare someone as a religious minorities. I have already told you, like some of the states like UP and Chhattisgarh, they have already declared Jains as a minority in their state. And recently in the year 2016, the Maharashtra government has declared the Jews as the religious minorities in that particular state. The state is already declared in the year 2016 Jews as the religious minority. If at all I want to give an example, Karnataka, in the state of Karnataka, Urdu, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, Marathi, Tulu, Lamani, Hindi, Konkani, Gujarati as the minority languages. So the state can declare any as a linguistic minority, the state can declare anyone as the religious minority. Some states have already done it. Some states have already done it. Then what is the difference between this minority and this minority? There is no difference. And is there any difference between religious minority and linguistic minority? There is no difference. Everyone is having the same rights. When everyone is having the same rights, if the center is not recognizing, let the state recognize it. If the state is recognizing, and if the simultaneously, if the center recognizing or center may not recognizing, they will get that right. What is the right that they will get? They will get a right to preserve culture and starting educational institutions. When the laws are such a clear, then what is the problem? Then what is the problem? The problem what the petitioner is saying, like religious minorities are there in different states, whatever the list I have given, and please instruct the state government to decide whether, instruct the state government to declare them as the minorities, Now for that, union government has responded. What union government said? Union government said like, now every state is having an authority to declare anyone as the minority. Now the point is, can a state declare religious minorities? Linguistic, okay, state is in a better position to identify the linguistic minorities, but can a state identify the religious minorities? Does the religion belong to your only one state, or it should be done at the national level? Already some states have identified it, but some people are saying like that is not the correct way. Religious minorities should be recognized at the national level, linguistic minorities should be recognized at the state level. Suppose if the religious minorities are declared at the national level, then Hindus don't get the minority status, but Hindus will get a linguistic minority status in states also. Linguistic minority status, Hindus now, whatever the states that we are saying, though the Hindus are religious minority, though the Hindus are not fully declared as a religious minorities, but they can be declared as a linguistic minorities, they can enjoy all the benefits because there is no difference between religious minority and linguistic minority. Because can a state be given that power to declare anyone as the religious minorities is the question. Should it be done at the national level, as religion is pan-India level? But some states have already done religious minorities. But simultaneously, if you declare at the national level and if you declare at the state level, what is the problem? I will tell you. Suppose take the case of Jammu and Kashmir. In Jammu and Kashmir, majority of the people are Muslims and minority people are Hindus, and the Sikhs and some Buddhists are also there. Now the majority people, they are the minority at the state level. Minority people are at the minority at the state level. Now this entire state is filled up with the minorities. Can that a situation be arisen? So this is another legal question that the Supreme Court need to answer it. Okay. So this is one more condition, like when you are giving some, that means you are giving benefit to everyone, then what is the extra benefit that you are getting to the minorities? So the problem is who has to decide the minorities, and if center is deciding someone as a minority, state is deciding someone as minority, if everyone is getting the minority status, then what is the thing? And moreover, when you are looking into this entire minority status, it is all about educational institution, it's all about culture. And now I said like every state is having an authority to declare someone as a linguistic minority and as well as the religious minorities. If they declare it and if they provide that proper whatever the protection under two articles called Article 29 and Article 30, that will be resolved. So whenever you are getting an issue about these minorities, don't think beyond these two articles. Don't think beyond these two articles, because politics, minority appeasement, these are all not relevant to us, because in the constitution minorities are having only two rights, that too according to the existing judgment the state is having that power, but this thing will be decided by the Supreme Court, whether can that state is completely become a minority state or not, okay. So this is something about minority status, and one more thing, one people are saying like, when state is having a power to decide, why center should decide it? Why center should decide? Center, you please go away with your whatever the minority classification. Then center is saying under TMA Pai judgment or any of the judgment that we have seen, did anywhere Supreme Court said like the state is a unit, but does it really bar the union government to declare anyone from the minority status? Does it really put a limitation on the union government? No, because welfare and economic planning under entry 20 of the concurrent list, it is a duty of both the union and as well as the state government to take care about the people. So we will decide, is there any limitation on the union government for me to declare? So I will declare some people. If you can declare. So this is the argument that union government is putting. But whatever the arguments that the union government is putting, but union government now said like the state can decide the status of minorities, and only two rights that you will get under this. Now the state and union is having concurrent power. That petitioner wanted that union power should be done away, but anyhow union is not going to accept to that. Union and state both are going to have the power to declare anyone as the minority, either it is the religious or it is the linguistic. But some arguments like this religion thing should be given to the union level, but the Supreme Court has to rule it whether this declaration of religious thing should be granted to the union or should be given to the state itself. And those who are not getting that religious minority state, they can get linguistic minority status also. Whatever the status that you will get the same benefit. So don't confuse much with this issue, and don't getting into the political aspects of this issue, because normally when you are reading newspaper and when you are following the word we looking into this minority, I already told initially like we will feel something different, and we feel like there are having different type of rights. No one is having any rights. Article 15 already 14, 15, 16 clearly said like no discrimination based on the religion. But for the welfare of these educational institutions and preservance of the culture, you can do it because they are having that right. So this is something about the identification of minorities or granting the minority status to the different sections of the society. Okay, thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.